Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Sarah Leonard of the Sarah Leonard team of RE/MAX Suburban based out of Schaumburg, Illinois. Honored in 2014 as the #1 RE/MAX agent in Illinois, Sarah has been a lifelong resident of the Chicago suburbs and uses her extensive knowledge of the area to help buyers, sellers, developers, and investors with all of their real estate needs. Sarah's insider knowledge about all of the aspects of the industry allows her to bring a unique understanding of buying and selling to every transaction to the benefit of her clients. Over the past year, this has allowed her to close over 300 transactions. So with all that, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be a guest.
I guess if we could start, Sarah, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you kind of just stumble into it?
Yeah, so when I was younger, we typically moved every 4 to 5 years. So I was involved in the building process with my family for moving around from house to house and watching my dad move with the architects and build the properties and then sell our current home. So it was kind of part of our lifestyle of growing up with myself and my 2 sisters. And then as an adult, my mom got a job managing the board of realtors in Geneva, Illinois. And so I would go to work with her and kind of help with different outings and things, and seeing the flexibility, and I'm a people person, so seeing the interaction that they get to have and how many people you really get to meet on a daily and weekly basis was really appealing to me. I've never been an office type person, so I've got to be out and about moving around. And so at a pretty young age, this is the direction that I wanted to go in, and I stuck with it, and everything worked out well.
Excellent. Yeah, it kind of sounds like you were, kind of almost raised into it. You're like, it was all around you and it just made sense.
Exactly. Yeah, there was really never a question. So, I did the week class the day that I turned 21 and was licensed, and it was all history from there.
Excellent. And I guess if you kind of talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities do you think have most contributed to your success, and how do you think you've developed those?
Yeah. I think that one of the most important things is just an understanding of the market and an ability to communicate that effectively to people. So many agents and just people in different industries, I think, talk above where the client's kind of knowledge level is. And although most people own a home, they only sell 2 or 3 in their lifetime. Just really understanding the emotional involvement that people have, and then talking to that when meeting with them. I think that's been one of the most important things that I've learned and that I've done with my clients. You can go into these appointments and you share as much factual data, but that only goes so far. There's always so much of an emotional investment with these transactions that happen with clients, and so I think that part of that was just learned over time. That, and just truly my enjoyment of meeting the people and talking with them. I can talk to a fault. So the ability to go through and be able to talk about something that I truly have a passion doing, helping people with this huge decision and this huge move and an emotional move and an expensive move at that, is something that I really enjoy. And so from early on, it's something that I've truly enjoyed doing. And I do, last year we did 300 transactions, so to do that much work in this industry and still really like what I'm doing, I feel very, very fortunate.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of touched upon it a little bit there, but maybe can you give us, another specific example of when your traits have played a role in your path towards success?
Yeah, I think just the ability to make people feel comfortable when you're talking through things with them. I think, if you put yourself in the shoes of a seller and you're having somebody you've never met come to your home and evaluate your home and critique your home and give you a price that you may or may not be happy with for, your home, with the memories that you have with your family and your children and whatnot. It's a emotional thing, and I think that it's definitely a learned trait to be able to converse with people and make them feel very comfortable with your team and my team and our services, and how we can help them and really form a partnership to make them feel comfortable and confident throughout the transaction, throughout the whole process, because we offer staging services before we get listed, and then a professional photographer that comes out to do the photos. There's a lot of hands on deck in order to get our properties, on the market. And so we have to make our clients feel very comfortable in that process and in working with me, because there's going to be a lot of moving parts to get us to where, we need to be to get the home sold. So, we really deal with that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, one thing I think you mentioned there that we do quite a few interviews on this show, especially in the real estate industry. But one thing I think you mentioned that's kind of interesting where you have to deal with is, a lot of times people can go in and deal with a standard client, but one thing you mentioned that kind of makes it maybe almost a little bit tougher is that emotional aspect of the home, right? Like you said, there's memories, maybe 20, 30, 40 years in that house, and people put a value on that in their head. Like, well, yes, the house is worth this much, but there's also all this that comes with it. And then for you to be able to sit down and understand that and work through it and show them, okay, but, here's what the market will bring based upon, market standards.
It's exactly right. And I think the most important thing is how you communicate with the information that you have. So I'm not telling you that this is what I think your home is worth. I'm telling you that based on the market statistics and the, sales in your area, that this is what the market will bear. So maybe the timing isn't right for you, but, it's a very sensitive thing to people because they've gone in and spent time and energy and money and doing upgrades or finishes or different things that was specific to their family and their taste and their liking. Then I'm going to come in and bring in other buyers who are going to come in who may or may not like those things, or things that may or may not add value, to the new buyer. And so it is definitely something that it's a sensitive conversation to have with people. And then in addition, like I just went on an appointment the other day, and the room was bright green with sponge paint and, a big border. And, she was so emotionally invested in this room because it was her daughter's room that her daughter grew up for 19 years in. So from a selling standpoint, it needed to be neutralized. It was definitely way too taste specific. But in her mind, when she walks in that room, all she thinks is about the wonderful memories that she had, over the past 20 years with her daughter being there. So you have to be very careful as to how you're communicating the information to the client, because at the end of the day, the way that home shows is going to impact how quickly and what I can sell it for. But I also have to understand it's not just about that. There's an emotional aspect to this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously at the time you've built up all the business that you've had to this point, I'm sure that everything hasn't been perfect. There's always bumps in the road with any type of, success. So I guess maybe could you talk a little bit about what are some of the major adversities, and maybe trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals and have the success that you've had?
Yeah, so for me, one of the biggest things that I've had to kind of navigate through is growth. So I've put a lot of advertising in place, put marketing, online marketing, past client, just keeping in touch with them, and we grew at a very, very fast pace. So it started with myself and my sister. She was on bed rest, and I had hired her to come and help me when she was home during her pregnancy, and during those couple of months, I grew so much because I could spend my time on doing marketing and advertising and getting out with the clients as opposed to doing processing and other things. And so during that time frame, we grew so much so fast, which is a great problem to have, but a problem nevertheless, because at that point then, if you have too many clients coming in and there's only so many hours in the day, you don't ever want to compromise on the service that I was providing to the client. And so I had to deal with the growth side of things, hiring other agents, which in the past year we've grown from 1 to now 5 agents. And that was a big challenge for me to kind of relinquish control over every transaction and just trust that with my training and guidance, these other agents would help our clients and the buyers that come through our team just the same way that I could. So although growth doesn't seem like a problem to a lot of people, to really navigate through how you can run a team efficiently and really service 300 clients in a year period, it's a process to get there. But we've definitely put great systems in place, and fortunately our marketing and the systems that we have been tested, and they've been confirmed that with as much business as we've been able to close, that we're definitely doing something right. So I feel very fortunate to have a great. We have 7 assistants that are in the office, and now 5 agents with myself in addition to that work for my team. And we've got over 150 homes under contract right now. So things are really great for our team.
Excellent. And I guess kind of maybe looking forward a little bit as you've started to build this team out and things are really starting to grow for you. Where do you see your vision for the business and your career over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think definitely continuing to grow and just make sure that the processes that we have in place are efficient, and that, the biggest thing that I've built my business on is never saying no. So if there's an opportunity that we can do, we'll try it. If there's a new marketing strategy or program that's out there, we'll test it. If there's something that's, I think that that's so important that as time goes on and there's new technologies or, think about like Zillow. There was no Zillow, 7, 8 years ago. If I wouldn't have advertised there or gotten into that, that's where probably 80% of clients start their search now. So I think from an agent, making sure that we are constantly staying on the forefront of technology and what's available to us as agents that will help our clients as sellers get their home sold or buyers find the right home, just making sure that we're staying on top of that and, continually reinventing what we're doing to make sure that we are, staying on the top of that curve, because it's constantly changing in our industry. And so growing as far as that's concerned as a team, making sure that inside and outside of work, we have a healthy environment there. We work a lot, and it's a very, very fast pace. So it's important to me that we take time outside of work and spend time together, and they've got a good balance, family life and work life as well. So constantly improving those things just to make sure that we can run like a well-oiled machine.
Excellent. And you've kind of mentioned a few little things there as you talk about growing, but what do you feel the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can have that continual growth?
Yeah, I think there's kind of a twofold question. I think one way is online marketing. So many millennials start their search online, and they're doing all their research there, which is wonderful, because they're able to feel really educated before actually starting this process, which is an overwhelming process to look for your first home or even selling your home and moving up in terms of your second property. So the fact that we are able to be found online and share that knowledge with clients before they even meet us, I think is great. And then the second is just making sure that we're staying in touch with our past clients and their, our spheres of influence. And so that's something that we've really enjoyed doing. I meet these clients and you work with them on this huge transaction, and there's definitely a strong connection that we have with a lot of them. And so keeping in touch with them, we do client parties. In May, we're doing a ladies' night where a bunch of our clients are coming out to get our nails done and go have some wine and dinner. And so I think that marketing ourselves to the community of people who are starting this process, but then again keeping in touch with our past clients and making sure that we're there as a resource for them are ways that are helping us, grow and just maintain those relationships, which is so important.
Excellent. And I think sometimes there's a lot of misconceptions, especially when it comes to real estate and agents. I think from the standpoint of, the barrier to entry seems pretty easy. I think people seem to think that they can jump right in and it's going to be easy. Also on the other side, I think too, when from maybe even a homeowner standpoint, a lot of them think that they can, I can just put a sign up. Maybe it's a seller's market. I'll just put a sign up and sell my house. But there's a lot of other things that go, behind the scenes. When it comes to that. So I guess what do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent is?
Yeah, I think that there is the biggest misconception is just exactly what you said, that this process is easy, and it's not. When you list a house for sale, there's so much that goes into it. When you look at what it takes for our listings to get sold, it's not just going in, taking pictures and putting a sign in the yard. We do staging. You have to present the home in the right light to the right people, make sure that the correct information is highlighted, marketing it to the school districts, making sure that the people who will appreciate the property and what it has to offer have the information readily available once that home becomes ready to purchase. And so there's so many things that have to happen in order for that to take place. When the appraisal happens, making sure that you're working for your client and providing the right data to that appraiser. Because if there's, and right now the market's certainly in a stable place, but there are still some distressed sales. There are still some sales that are, lower than, in my opinion, what they should be. So it's my job to try and maximize what the client's able to get for their home, which entails us putting together a report for these people. We, have an Excel document where we're able to kind of navigate through and hopefully eliminate some of the lower sales in certain neighborhoods to maximize what our clients can get when they sell with us. So there's so many different pieces that have to line up for everything to go just to get from contract to closing. And I don't think that people really understand that until they go through it. And so there's the inspection, there's a survey. I mean, there's so many moving parts. And so the service that we provide to clients is that, it's our job to have them feel as the least amount of stress as possible. So, we do this stuff ahead of time, like the staging and getting the house ready to go, to minimize how long they're going to have to show their home for, because it's not a fun process putting your home on the market, having people track through your home, leaving for the showings, getting the critiques. It's just an exhausting time for people. And so we have all these systems in place to minimize that stress for them, but I don't think until you go through it that you really realize what all is involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of a hypothetical question we like to ask. Let's say you get a call from a family member. They're in another state. They want to sell their home. Obviously, we know you could check on people, you could do referrals, but let's say they just want some advice from you. What advice would you give them about selecting an agent that you think could best serve their needs? Kind of like how you take care of your people. You have a process and everything's right down to a science. What would you tell them on how to select the best agent?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great question. I think the first question that you'd have to ask them is how many homes have they sold? There's a lot of agents that will come through and they'll say, you're my client, you're going to be my focus. And if you're an agent's only client, that's typically not a good thing. So you want somebody who's familiar with the area, that sold homes in the area. So making sure that you know what their background is and what their ties to that community are. So do they have any clients in that area, and how many homes have they listed or had under contract then? And then just understanding, and this is the biggest piece of advice I'd give to anybody, is understanding their communication style. So, of the clients that we have, 150 homes under contract right now, everybody communicates differently. Some want early mornings, some afternoons, some evenings. Some expect to call every 3 days. Others only want to email twice a month. Understanding how that agent communicates, because that is the biggest challenge that sellers have, is that they need to know what's going on through this process. And you need an agent who's going to take the time and understand how you can effectively communicate together and work as a team. And so just making sure that that is something that is discussed up front, and that the communication styles there are a good fit. I think if you have that up front and you set those expectations, and you know that they're familiar with the area and they've got a track record to prove it, those would be the two main pieces of advice that I think would be setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, I think it's great to point out to our listeners what you said there, and I think it actually goes in line with any industry, but especially when it comes to real estate, is setting expectations, right? Like you said, you talk to the homeowner, see what they expect. Do you want to hear from me every day, or this is how I communicate? Once a week you're going to get an update, or every other day it's going to be email, it's going to be phone. Find out what they like, and then try to service them. Maybe they like emails, maybe they like Snapchat, maybe they like Facebook, right?
Exactly.
And to find out, okay, well, once a week I'll send you a Facebook message on where we're at or what we need to do. So I think that's great to lay that foundation and expectation. So all of a sudden you're not into it and you don't hear from anybody, and you're like, where's my agent? Well, you didn't set the expectation. They don't really know, what's going on.
They don't know what to
expect,
because in their mind they have these certain expectations. Right, but then if you don't have the conversation as to laying those expectations out there as to what those are, it's very easy to have. It's very easy to get off on the wrong foot. And so I think
Absolutely.
It's so important to have that. And I learned that so quickly as my team grew. I'm not going to be sitting there filling out your paperwork. I'm not going to be the one taking your pictures. I'm not going to be the one calling for feedback from your showings. My time is not best spent doing that. And so I have team members who that's all they do, and they're great at what they do. That I have to set that expectation with each client that you're going to be talking to me on value and marketing and offers. You're going to be talking to someone else in my team to deal with staging and photos or to deal with feedback. And so I have to set those expectations for every appointment so they know I'm always here for them, but there's also other people that are going to be working for them as well.
Excellent. And I guess if Sarah, if somebody wants to learn more about you and they need a real estate agent in your area, what's the best way they can get more information on how you can help them?
Yeah, definitely. So they can visit our website, so it's sarahleonardsells.com, or they can call my cell phone at any time, 224-239-3966. And, we would look forward to any questions people have, and certainly welcome any calls.
Excellent. Well, Sarah, we certainly want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and coming here today to share your experience and everything that you've been through with our listeners. And if anybody's listening and you want to learn more about Sarah, you can go to her site, as she said, sarahleonardsells.com. We'll also, below this interview, we're going to have a link to her site, as well as we'll put her phone number and any other contact information that she does provide for us. So with that said, everybody, thank you again for joining us. And until our next show, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.